Hello, how are you doing? Welcome back to April Clouds and Storms. I wanted to share with you a downloaded message that I received today that I think will support the relationship you have with self and the masculine and the feminine. And I want you to receive this message with your heart, not your head, not your ears. Because I don't think I fully understand it when I think about it too hard. So I'm just going to say it. The feminine is about world building, birth, creation, destruction, death. And the masculine is about setting things in place, in motion, automating it, making it work. And we naturally see this whenever we interact with various energies, when we speak to other people. Some people, mostly who have a heightened masculine energy, especially at the time that you speak to them, have a make it work, do what it needs to do, stop complaining, power through type of mentality, versus someone else, or it could be the same person that you speak to in a more feminine aspect of that time. When you talk to them a second time or at a different occasion, may have a more feminine aspect, which is more of a emotionally abundant, full picture. Do you want to destroy it all or do you not want to destroy it all type of thing? And the way I've been given this download is to explain it in a way that it's like the feminine picks up like a layer of fabric and lays it out in a space. And let's just say the space is like a white room. Lays out the fabric on the wall, on the ceiling, on the floor, like whatever reality we're building. If it's an orange reality, the fabric is bright orange and it's laid out everywhere. And the masculine comes in, sees what is already completed, and sets it into concrete place. The masculine is very rigid, and versus the feminine is very free-flowing. And in the rigidity of the masculine, there is setting into place. There is putting things in order, creating structure. And so they are, if you're envisioning two different spiritual beings in this visualization, the masculine is pulling at the corners to tighten them up in the corners, creating corners, putting things and furniture and bookcases and tables throughout this orange space. And the feminine is lounging around on the ground, just vibrantly happy. When order is created, the feminine shows appreciation, and they both dwell in their created reality. The feminine brings reality, that orange fabric that's very much needed, like paint on a wall. The masculine also brings setting reality in place. The furniture, the corners, the lamp, the nightstand. And they dwell in this common, shared reality. And then there comes a time where most of the time the feminine decides that they want something different. They want something somewhere different. They want different colors. It's time to go. Orange is no longer the reality we want to live in. And when she decides to just pick it up and pull it off the wall, the masculine is not all the way fully on board. And when this internal shift happens with you, this is now like your ego, your mental audience now talking like, wait, what are you doing? We were set in place. Is this safe? What are we doing? Like, this is not the plan. Da, da, da. Like, this is the internal chaos that you feel, that masculine, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are we there yet? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are we there yet? Are you sure? Are we sure? The quote unquote logical side versus the feminine that's very free-flowing, your emotional side and really deeply your spiritual side that energetically notices that you gotta go. The need to go has never been heightened. You gotta go, you gotta talk, you gotta do something, you gotta change. The reality needs to go. And this is like one day the masculine literally waking up to finding the feminine ripping off the walls of their reality, of their world. And this shows up even in relationships, in heterosexual dynamics, where that expect a healthy balance of both masculine and feminine energy from whoever it denotes. Most of the time it denotes to women, most of the time it denotes to men, but it can switch, of course, depending on the relationship, depending on the experiences. It's always a dynamic change. This rattles the masculine, like everything's in place. Are you crazy? You're literally ripping off the orange off the wall. The bookcases are literally falling apart. What are you doing? We're happy here. The feminine is not happy anymore. She wants to change. She wants to shift. She wants to move. The masculine has settled. And this discord in unhealthy, not only relationships, but unhealthy relationships with other people and self is so destructive in nature. From the masculine point of view, you are destroying our lives. Right? You're crazy. You're not logical. Are you literally stupid? From the feminine point of view, it is suffocating. It's deafening. It's no longer where she wants to reside. Reality shift. And both the masculine and feminine take reality shift very differently. That part of you that does not take reality shifting well, it may be because the masculine part of you is very dominant when change occurs. Versus if you are very, very excited, super, super pumped for changes, big changes especially, your feminine side takes dominant precedence. I'm not here to tell you it's good or bad. I'm here to really tell you the effects and bring awareness to what is happening with the dynamic within yourself and the same thing playing out in relationships. Romantic, platonic, just relationships with other people. There is something destructive in nature to wake up and pull orange fabric off your reality, to pull your reality apart. But there is also something very emotionally destructive to the feminine when the masculine questions sanity, when the masculine questions a choice, when the masculine questions what the feminine wants, because she wants what she wants and she gonna get it. Working through this is a relationship. Being able to maneuver these discomforts is a relationship. And when you are able to maneuver through them, through communication, through distinctly telling each other what, or in yourself. That's really what I'm speaking from. Yourself. Because if you most people can't do this with themselves, so that's why they struggle even more to do it in relationships. So just let's remain, for the purpose of this conversation, to work on these dynamics within ourselves, and that's how I'm going to be the area in which I'm going to be speaking from. It comes with recognizing that two very powerful energies within you are at opposite fields, and both of them are uncomfortable at the same thing. The thing is reality shift. The orange is being pulled off the wall. That's uncomfortable for the feminine because she no longer wants orange. That's uncomfortable for the masculine because the orange is being pulled off. You see how you're like literally reading the same book on the same page, but one person has flipped the page and the other one was still reading that page. You flipped it too early. I hated when that happened in school. Like, the teacher would read it, but I was also like a person who would read it with them. And sometimes I read it slower if there was a word I didn't know. And then they would flip the page and I'd be like, ugh, like 3 words left. Or you're in like, this especially happens in college, of course. You're in college, grad school, whatever, in a classroom setting. Teacher's going through slides. They're like reading fast. They click next. You're not even done writing. You're like, are you kidding me? Are we learning or are we learning here? Are we learning or are we learning here? Like, what are we doing? That is that frustration that you feel when someone turns the page and moves on and totally discounts your present emotion of imbalance and security and question, which comes from your masculine part, is greatly shunning and greatly hurtful to your masculine. The feminine must understand that is what is happening. That is because of the cause that she has started, and must make amends. Must recognize not only the actual like reality of my reality is falling apart for the masculine. What do I do? What do I do? And your ego's like freaking out. But also everything you built up, the bookcases in the orange room, the bed in the orange room, the lamp in the orange room, the kitchenette in the orange room. Like, the orange room is no longer the orange room. What are we doing? Where are we going? Everything that they have structured there is being torn down. And many people of certain genders cannot, like, this plays out in our society all the time. Many people of certain genders cannot even begin to fathom what is happening between the genders due to the same thing. The feminine is literally ripping apart reality, and the masculine's like, what are you doing? Are you insane? And when the feminine is then attacked in this manner, which is a direct rebuttal to the emotional trauma that the masculine's feeling. But when sanity is in question, when shamefulness is thrown around, when the feminine is made to feel bad for a desire, which is, I don't want an orange reality anymore, that brings in that can open up a lower part of the feminine that is then becoming subservient and non-intuitive, almost a childlike version of the feminine can be reduced down from that traumatic experience of being told, are you dumb? Are you illogical? Are you shameful? Are you stupid? We built all this up and you're tearing it down. You're tearing down everything we built up. That is very hurtful because the feminine does not see it as a tear down. The feminine sees it as old beliefs, old trauma, old stuff that is just no longer resonating with her. That's why sometimes the feminine cannot explain what she's feeling and why she's feeling it while she is doing it. It don't make sense. Most people want the feminine to stop and explain themselves, but in working through their emotions, they are literally manifesting. That is how they manifest. Working through the pain, working through the suffering, working through the happiness, working through the joy to receive more and more and more. Of course, I have to use the childbirth analogy as a midwife, right? Working through this function of self, this emotionally taxing, verbally, a lot of pregnant women cannot speak because it's just like, it's incomparable, like what you're feeling through childbirth. And you and me as a midwife knows, like, I can't stop too many times to say or ask, like, wait, what are you feeling? What are you doing? I know what they're feeling. I know what they're doing. Like, come on, let's go. Like, that is deviating from the plan. She is literally giving birth. She is creating forth life. She is manifesting a baby in real time, and we're all watching it. The question now becomes, how do I support her? Because she cannot stop and go, and compartmentalize all this emotional and physical behavior to move us all along. And I feel like that's why it's very difficult for the feminine to explain themselves, which the masculine desperately needs. And sometimes in these moments of, please explain yourself, she cannot explain herself. And then the name calling, the questioning of reality of like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? We were perfect. It was amazing here. It was it was comfortable. Like, we settled in, we have our stuff here. That does not move the feminine. The feminine is not moved by stuff here. The attachment is not as heavily ingrained because she did not build the structures in which it is now functioning on. She created the reality, but she did not fill the reality up with trees and bookcases and windows. And now she's destroying the reality, but it's a little bit harder now because the trees, bookcases, and windows are sentimental. They're in place and they are from the masculine. And when they do not resolve their inner conflicts, when there is not some sort of give and take for both parties to understand where the other person is coming from, these two energies are coming from for yourself, and deep acknowledgement and a level of apology for the emotional trauma caused to each of your energies. Yet, there needs to be a resounding fact that you're just understanding this is just a really strenuous dynamic. That's just a transition call. It's a closing and opening of a cycle. It's a transition call. The feminine transitions very dramatically, tear the reality apart. The masculine, it needs to do a lot more contemplating and judging and evaluating if this is the right idea or plan before they jump ship. You have these two very powerful dynamics, energies occurring within you every single time you make a decision. Sometimes you default to one versus the other. Other times you allow them to both, argue it out. It seems like our parents or like older adults that you've seen in relationships, you just argue it out in the corner and then come up with a solution. But I want you to next time be, 1, hyper aware of it, 2, acknowledge it, and 3, apologize to your inner selves. Like, make your feminine and your masculine apologize to self, to then move on to 4, to understanding how powerful each of these two energies are and how the one that you want to be more dominant within you when it comes to this certain experience. This is why the feminine wins. This is why the masculine wins, whatever your choice is. But don't allow them to just play up, mental and emotional warfare internally within you, and then that harbors into resentment and total confusion of, I don't know how I feel. I'm just at war with myself. People say that in a romantic sense whenever they're trying to play up pity parties, but it's not romantic. It's a lack of acknowledgement from you, their soul, the reason why they're in and around you causing warfare. You are the reason, and you don't want to even acknowledge it. Oh, there's just a war inside me. I don't know. If you want to transition into your new reality, sometimes it's not helpful to hear the masculine logic and shattered in the mental ego and thought process and subconscious and conscious thoughts and Sometimes we don't need that. Sometimes we need hardcore rip up the orange. Let's move on. Like, let's go. Other times, the feminine standing up one day and just ripping your reality apart, and you're just like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? That wasn't smart. That was so uncalled for. Like, it sounds like intrusive thoughts, but it's probably your feminine. Sometimes that methodology is not helpful. But understand the most powerful role is your role in this dynamic. Let's apply ownership. You are in charge of, you are given stewardship of these two energies at all times. You must train, you must observe, you must grow, you must expand your masculine and feminine energy. You must build up these powerful energies, these powerful muscles of self bestowed to you by God. No one's born with just one over the other. Everyone has two. Many people are not exercising at their full potential. A divine union of self is working at your full potential with both of these energies. They work optimally. You utilize both of them when you need to and when asked to. You probably operate with them so much and they're so intertwined with each other that they answer in one voice, masculine and feminine. They answer you in one voice. They create and recreate realities in one voice. There's no sabotage. There's no second guessing. There's no shame involved. There's no worrying and ripping and worrying and ripping. And no, you've healed those aspects of you because you have taken control. And as the person you are to these energies within you, they are there to support you. They are there to serve you. They are there to make your life easier. Your feminine masculine energy is not there to cause chaos for fun. When you find yourself triggered about it, it means that you need to be more tapped in. It's bringing your awareness to, this is some more discord. This is an area of dynamic growth that could potentially come in. Let me tap into this and really hone in. And the beauty of this is whenever you have been able to do this deep inner healing with yourself to create a divine union of masculine and feminine energy within yourself, you can now look into relationships and see healthy examples of that divine union exemplified in our world. It's not everyday divorce. There's only 50% of the population who get divorced. And I say that only to be chuckle, but also to really hearken the way that everyone complains about the 50 who got divorced. What about the 50 who didn't? And within that 50, there's probably a few of them who have very healthy divine unions that exemplify in human reality form this true connection and leveling and harmonization between the masculine and feminine. That's why they look and work and talk and be as one, yet they're in two distinct bodies. That is a marriage I hope for myself. But I also know that marriage is exemplified with their internal acknowledgments of self, and that's something I also am acknowledging within myself. You can do marriage type of work, heavy healing, deep work that some people leave for marriage, or they said it's best saved for healing in marriage, because marriage is to heal you. I truly believe that. But you're not going to postpone your healing because of marriage. I know that's stupid. So if you're getting called to do this deeper transformative work now, this deeper relationship work with no relationship, with no like marriage, with nothing, don't shy away from it. I do this work all the time. This is not something that's left for, oh, I know it's going to come up. You know it's going to come up later. So but you're being triggered about it now with no relationship, with no family, with no like union of yours. Like, you're being called to do it now, because you don't know what type of person, you don't know what type of spouse, union, the type of healthy union you are manifesting when you do this type of work. And also be honored that you're being called to do this type of work deep down, internally within yourself, to actually heal and unite your masculine and feminine energy now. Don't waste your singleness hoping and praying and yearning for whenever you're going to get into a union. Like, that's clown behavior. That's clown behavior. If you are called, and if this is relating to you, like, you know, there's things that you've been processing and working on that you're like, this is some deeper work that many people say they do in a marriage. If you're being called to do that now, do it. It will not show the same in a marriage, but it's showing up in you as an internal thing of your masculine, your feminine are wanting to unite and heal this wound, this trigger right now. You don't know what type of person, if you want a person. I hope that was caveated without me saying that this whole time. You don't know what type of person God is, the universe, source is trying to manifest for you. You don't know. It's something that I think is natural within people who are along the self-actualization journey, inner work journey, self-improvement journey, is always going back and asking self, am I the best person? Am I actually up to par? Am I the good catch? And I'm actually doing the part. Am I doing the work? Do I show up as is? Before you blame someone else. That's natural within you. We always take ownership around here. Imagine if you start doing this work, maybe you and your partner are doing this spiritual work in a way that you don't even know who they are. But you come together, and this part of you, this work that you are now working on years later, months later, days later, okay, whatever, whenever you manifest somebody for yourself, at least this part of it is healed. You always find more things to heal in a marriage. That's like a given. Duh. That's why people always complain, oh, it's work. When you normalize this type of work, it's not work no more. When people really tell me, oh, marriage is work, I'm now realizing that they mean the spiritual, the emotional, the energetic, the mental load is so heavy, and they've never done this before. That's why it's so hard. You and I, we do this often. We do this every day. This is our food. We eat this up. It's not like we won't find other areas of difficulty, but this area of knowing how to ground, knowing how to clarify, knowing how to self-assess, how to become observant, how to question self, and have a system to process through our own emotional irregularities, and we do not become codependent on someone else's emotional regularities. Oh, baby, you've kind of won practically half the freaking marriage battle that everyone complains about. But you didn't do it because of marriage or because of the hope of marriage. No, you're doing it because you want to do it and you're called to do it for yourself now. Stop leaving things up for when I get married to do when I'm married. Like even small things like when I'm talking to you right now, I'm talking about big emotional conversations you have to have for yourself. Triggers, desires, things that you have probably heard multiple times, yet you want to hold off for marriage to do them. The biggest thing that I hear a lot of women talk about is like travel. Well, I only want to travel to that place with my significant other, with my spouse. And it's just like, cute. But what's the guarantee that y'all are actually going to go once you get married? Because you asked? I mean, we hope and pray your husband's that nice so that, like, you know, he's like, yeah, sure, let's go. But what if he's already been there before? Stop putting your life on hold for other people. And really stop putting yourself on hold for a perception of self that is none of your business. You already put in the ether that you want to get married. You want this type of person. Move on. But when you're told to travel to so-and-so, that's what you need to be doing. Traveling to so-and-so. Not docking it back in the system saying, well, I really, really want that desire. But when I do this, when I'm in a relationship, when I'm pregnant with my first child, like, girl, I find that women do this so much. And it's just like really pitiful because it's like, why are you doing that? Yes, the dreaming of, oh yeah, when we do this here, it sounds cute, but I know you're getting resentful the longer and longer it takes. I know you're getting resentful the longer and longer it takes. I had to break out of that mold as well. Certain things that I thought to reserve or wanted to per se reserve for union, like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I was like, no, like everything's up for debate. And if the desire shows up, guess that's what I got to do. Union or no union, guess that's what I got to do. Because the core of you and the core of me is that we are operating from self. We're not operating from self-entwined in something else. We're not operating from self-entwined, blah, 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 blah. That's why a powerful union, right? An actual powerful, healthy, very like just substantial marriage is so beautiful. Because these two very selfish people, two very powerful souls have connected to become one larger soul, and they haven't compromised themselves. They haven't, quote unquote, given it anything up to make space for the other. They have learned to adapt, to accept each other as they are and grow from there. You listening to my voice, we are all inherently selfish people. And I'm proud to say it. Very selfish. Yet there is something so powerful to know that that's not a part of me that I have to give up. It's not required. In our own social, especially in the Western, blah, 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 like, oh, you need to be selfless, blah, blah, whatever. Like, I'm not really talking to those mass people. I'm talking to you. Because when two very powerful, selfish people join together, become one, that's like a hyper selfish person. Like that person is magnetic. They choose self above all. Yet they have two bodies, you and your spouse, like two bodies to enact change, to operate in this world on this one powerful mission. There's so many different interpretations of marriage. I come up with a new one. Oh, it seems like every couple months, the further and further I like dig deep and dive into myself. But this was like a comment that I was like listening to a random video about pink dolphins. And I literally received the download. I was like, let me record and share with my friends about the feminine changing reality and the masculine setting reality into order. And when reality is required to shift, when a reality shift is desired, when a reality shift is occurring, these two energies will have polar opposites reactions. It is up to you as a greater soul, as a higher being, as a higher self, the one derived from God, you to manage, be a steward of these two powerful souls, to bring them back into their core, to bring them back into union. And that is one of the many recipes for how once you can choose, and it may play out in your own reality, in your own life, if you choose to get married. I love you so much. You can see all my courses down below. I think for this activation, I would really recommend Roses Aren't Red, which you can see down below, and read the sales page on Etsy. And of course, April Clouds and Storms is on pre-order. I'll talk to you later. Bye.